You don't actually think I was in the Zack Snyder's Justice League, do you?
You are now listening to the best show in the universe, The Anthony Rogers Show. You probably wish that this was your show, but it's not. It's The Anthony Rogers Show. Tell all of your friends to listen to this show.
There's a new award-winning 4-grain straight bourbon whiskey that's been taking the market by storm, Penelope Bourbon. Bottled at the historic Castle and Key Distillery in Frankfort, Kentucky, Penelope's balanced yet flavorful taste profile comes from a unique blend of 3 bourbon mash bills. Currently available in 2 expressions, 4-grain and barrel strength, Penelope is remarkably smooth and flavorful. So whether you're sipping neat or using in your favorite cocktail, Penelope is perfect for you.
Welcome back to the greatest show in the entire universe. Today we have a huge guest. Like I was mentioning before the show, I think a little too big for this show. Chris Killian, how you doing, man?
I'm great, man. How you doing, Anthony?
Really good, really good. So, like if you're watching this, you're listening to this, depending on how you're consuming. Chris just basically was in Justice League, made a cameo as Robin, which Robin hasn't been in Batman in a second, so it was like kind of a huge deal, I think, personally.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. They had to cut my scene, unfortunately, because the movie ended up being like 4 hours and 2 minutes long. With my scene, it was like 4 hours and 3 minutes, and Zack was like, "I just can't do it," and I was like, "That's a bummer, but I get it. It's long." So, but it was fun. It was fun. It was fun. Actually, I'm lying. It was not fun in that costume at all. That thing was like 40 pounds. I hated that thing. The neck piece, man, pushed every bit of fat in my body up into my face. It was the worst experience of my life.
That's hilarious. So, how long did that take you to put on that costume? Like,
That costume took like I don't know, probably a good half hour to get done.
that's hilarious, man. And also, Chris also hosts comicbook.com. He's a host on there, rather. Some good stuff. You guys are really, like, the cuts are awesome. Like, the way you guys shoot that stuff. I mean, anybody could just talk about a subject. I think this is proof of podcast. But I feel like you guys put it together really well. It's the execution's pretty good, and you're clever and
Oh,
stuff. It's
thanks, dude. Yeah, no, that's a that's an all day process for like 3 minutes of a show. It's
it looks
because
like it.
I go through and find those clips that we kind of use. I like to use the clips as like punchlines to kind of like I'll set them up as a host, and then the clips are like a little bit of a joke or whatever. And yeah, it takes all day, and I kind of lay it all out, and then I've got an editor named John Mason, really talented, who I send it all off to him, and he just kind of like pieces out what I laid out for him, and we get the show put together like that. So usually my end of it takes about 4 or 5 hours to like write and perform and produce it, and then he usually takes about another 3 hours, 4 hours to edit it.
That's awesome, man. Like, yeah, and that's a big site. I mean, how many views does that get? Like, if that's not rude, or I don't know if that. What's
No,
rude
no,
to
no,
do?
no. It's totally. I mean, it's really blown up the last over the last year, I'd say. Before when we first started it, it was maybe getting like 5 or 6 thousand views a day. But now, oh, thanks. My girlfriend brought me some coffee because it's the middle of the afternoon lull. But now we're getting to where on Instagram alone, it's pulling about roughly about 100,000 views a day. So
Congrats, man. That's awesome, dude. Like,
thank you, dude. Yeah, no, it's a big win because it's such a grind. People don't understand what a grind it is to do, a daily show like that every day, practically by yourself. Like I've tried to explain to people, like that, like late night talk show host. Like that's kind of what I try to like. Daily Distraction to me is like a nerd version of the Daily Show or something like that. But these guys, late night talk show hosts and whatnot have like 10, 20 writers for, a 3 to 5 minute monologue. And so it's just me doing it every day. And I mean, you want to talk about burnout, dude, it can happen real easy. So I'm happy to see that it's finally paying off, and that people they seem to be really into it. Everybody seems to enjoy it, and for what it is, which is just a brief kind of, bullshit distraction for people just every now and then.
no, for sure. I was doing my homework and I was kind of impressed. I was like kind of watching some of your stuff, just kind of get a vibe for what you doing stuff. Because more or less I reached out as your comedian at first. And I was like, this guy's gonna be funny, blah. And I look at what you're doing. I'm like, wow. I was just like, you're doing a lot of cool stuff, man. And like, I think I didn't realize it was daily. That makes a lot of sense. Consistency and content. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. Like, why, like just like you're a talented dude, and then as long as you're consistent and keep going, I mean, that makes sense. It's gonna keep getting bigger. I mean, And 100,000 a day is nothing to scoff at. But I mean, I don't see it going anywhere but up at this point. Like comic books, a huge culture. I mean, you have a great. I mean, anybody, pretty much any dude at least, is into comic books, and there's a lot of girls too. But I think like you have a huge market. I mean, I think like that's like it's a time for something like that almost. It's interesting.
Yeah, I hope so, man. That's the plan, is to just keep growing and to keep trying to make the show better, and you know, God willing, you know, we get enough of an audience that we can start, you know, introducing like new segments and interviews, and you know, making it feel even more like a well-rounded show than just the little 3-minute snippet that it is now. You know, that would be my ultimate goal, is to just make that the only thing that I do. So that'd be awesome.
You have that like, the energy of that dude from Kids in the Hall, like that Dave guy. You have like the same kind of like the same kind of like, he was like kind of a witty dude too. You know, I think you have that same kind of like energy at least, and you kind of look similar, but you have the same kind of energy. I forgot his last name right off, but
Thanks.
you know what I'm talking about though?
Yeah, vaguely. I think so. Hold on, I'm actually gonna look him up real quick, because I feel like if it's who I'm thinking of, I think we did a show together one time.
That's hilarious.
And I think I forgot his name.
Yeah, I forgot his last name. It's Dave something. Like
Dave Foley.
Yes, Foley. That's what it is.
Yeah, it wasn't Dave Foley I did a show with. It was Scott Thompson. But I did a show with Scott Thompson, and I was so nervous about it. It was like one of my first years doing comedy, and I was introducing him, and I forgot his name. And so I ran off stage and ran into the green room and was like, I am so sorry, but what is your name again? And then I ran back out and said, Scott Thompson from Kids in the Hall, everybody.
No, that's how it is with the show. It's like I'll read names all the time. So like I can spell it because I've typed it for like Zoom. I've seen it in emails. I've done all this, like, and then I'll go to an enunciate or something. And I butcher it. Last names I butcher every time.
Oh, I get called out for that so much on the show, and it's so hard, because now, like, I feel like there are some people with some really crazy names. You have to, like, I try to do my due diligence and look them up, but even from the time that I look it up and I listen to it to the time that I'm filming it, it's so easy to butcher it. Like
there's just so much going on.
There was one show that people really got all over my ass because I said Zendaya instead of Zendaya, and man, the whole comments were just like, can you believe the way he said her name? And I'm just like, guys, it's just not a name. I read the name all the time, but I don't say it out loud. Like, you know,
right.
Saying Joe Manganiello all the time. It's annoying. It's just really hard to get everybody's names correct all the time. And so that's a real struggle. That's a true struggle for what I do.
No, it is, because it's always text to voice. We got to be like, okay. I was like, read it all day. Yeah, it's crazy, man. Kind of a cheesy question, but just a good question. I like knowing this. How'd you get into comedy? Like, more or less, like.
Kind of happenstance, to be honest. I really I was going to college, and I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, so I just thought I'm just gonna I was working on an English degree because I just hated math. And I just thought, I'm going to just keep going to school until they tell me I can't go to school anymore, or I figure out what I want to do. And so I was actually working on my master's, and I had started becoming a big fan of like Comedy Central roasts and stand-up comedy and stuff like that. And I wanted to give it a try, and I tried it out. And I did this musical comedy night, because I had wrote a couple joke songs or whatever in college. And so I played this musical comedy night at Zany's in Nashville, and the owner of Zany's just happened to be there and was like, hey, you did a really good job. You want to come back and MC next week? And I was like, heck yeah. And then that was pretty much the end of it. I was doing comedy like full time after that for like 10 straight years.
Wow, yeah, it's just meant to be, I guess. That's crazy.
Yeah, I didn't really even realize it at the time, but it was a very meant to be sort of situation there. It was very serendipitous, because the owner of Zany's, he's like never there. So the fact that he was there on that night and saw me was kind of weird.
That's awesome. Yeah, I feel like some things are just meant to happen. It sounds like that. Like, it sounds like that kind of thing. Like, you're just kind of waiting for what you want to do, and it just fell into place, man. Like, it's interesting.
Yeah, it was really weird. When I look back on it and how it's all started and how it's like progressed, it's very strange.
You get a lot of flack for not doing the open mic night thing, like a lot of comedians like try to say, like a lot of it.
Yeah, I did. I got so much flack for it. Like, people felt like I had just kind of snuck in, and I didn't even mean to. Like, I didn't, it wasn't like on purpose or anything, but I kind of developed this, like, after I was around it for a few years, I felt like, I think I don't want to use the word stigma, but I think that like you get like labeled as like this guy, And like, if you do open mics for months or years on end, you're just like, you're an open mic guy, you know, same with, like, you really have to push forward to get to that next level. And I think the fact that I kind of came in and nobody knew who I was and I didn't have that identity, that somebody, you know, somebody was just like, oh, well, he's pretty funny. And so, you know, I think I just skipped a whole level that a lot of comedians don't have the luxury of doing. And I really lucked out in that way. That was just, I mean, it was pure luck. It was all it was. But I think that I think I didn't get stuck in that open mic sort of trap, you know, that I see a lot of comedians get stuck in.
Yeah. I've never seen any like actual successful comedians start an open mic night, but I hear a lot of people like from the open mic night scene always shit talk people that don't. That's why I was just wondering. I kind of started on the internet too, so that's why I was wondering if you had experienced that. So like they'll.
I've only done a handful of open mics my entire life, and every time I have, they're just brutal. I mean, I just
it's hard, though.
And I don't feel like they're a good gauge for testing material either, because you're really only doing material for other stand-up comics, and other stand-up comics we have a very bizarre sense of humor. So things that we find funny, like we find comedians bombing funny, but you know, that doesn't work for like normal audiences. So it just doesn't, it's not a good gauge for material. At least it wasn't for me. I felt that it was much easier for me to just do real shows and then sort of like sneak in, you know, 3 or 4 minutes of new material here or there, and that's how I would get new stuff versus, you know, testing it out at open mics.
Yeah, it's just talking into a microphone. It's not that, you know, it's like, that's how I view it anyway. Like, and I've never had, like, at the sake of sounding like an asshole, I've never had someone like more successful be like, oh man, you didn't do open mic nights. It's always like the people that do open mic nights. They're always like, man, you didn't even do open mic nights. And I'm like, maybe that's your thing, but it's like not the only way to the top of the hill. You know, it's like not the only way to get there. Like,
right. And I think that open mic nights are probably a lot different, say in LA or New York, than what I'm in Nashville. So open mic nights were not exactly as prevalent. I mean, we had some, you know, definitely, but in LA, I mean, or New York, you know, there's multiple open mic nights you can hit in a night. So you can go, you know, and do 4 or 5 shows in the night if you really want to, and a lot of times you're playing to like full crowds. Like if you're at the Comedy Store in LA, I mean, there's a whole, you know, you've got a whole crowd, you still have an audience to work with. So it's an open mic night, but it's not an open mic night at the same time. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
there's people there to see like celebrities testing out material. You know, you have the Dave Chappelles and the Joe Rogans and all that showing up. So you have actual audiences to play with, versus the open mic nights that I saw were, like I said, they were literally just all the comedians that were there testing out material, sitting, you know, as the audience. And it just, I was never a huge fan of doing it.
No, for sure. I think you nailed it. Yeah, I'm in the Midwest also, so I definitely, yeah, open mic nights are kind of just like a sad kind of thing. But like, I definitely see how, yeah, Chicago's like that too. Like you do shows there. Like I hang out with some comedians there, and they're doing like 15 open mic. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but a bunch of open mic. They're Ubering around everywhere and stuff. Like, it's definitely a different culture. It's definitely a different kind of thing.
Sure.
That's interesting. So, I guess what made you get into like comic? How'd you is comicbook.com yours, or did like how'd you kind of walk into that? Like
God,
growing Monster?
No. We're owned by Viacom CBS.
Okay.
It's definitely not mine.
No, that makes way more sense. How big? Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Like that's a big company. That makes like how that there's a name. I mean, the name alone's probably $10,000 to get comicbook.com. There's probably a minimum of $10,000 to get that.
Oh, it might be even more than that. I couldn't say it's worth, but I know it's very valuable. No, I was just essentially I kind of reached a place in stand-up comedy where I reached the ceiling where I was touring full time on the road, and I was either opening for people who were already famous, or I was headlining like B rooms, and I was essentially a road comic. And I just kind of reached this place where I knew I wasn't going to get any bigger. You know, my show was solid. I had an hour show that was great. Everybody had a good time that came to the show, but nobody knew who I was. And so I ended up getting an agent to try to start doing some acting, just so I could, you know, maybe build up some sort of like, I don't know, get on TV doing something. I don't, you know, whatever. But I got an agent, and I got in a couple commercials, and then she just told me, since I'm in Nashville, I mean, Comic Book is based in Nashville, and they were looking for a host, and she caught wind of it and was like, they're doing auditions, and I know you collect comic books and everything. So is this something you'd be interested in? I was like, heck yeah, I'd be happy to try it out. And so And so I auditioned for them. And initially it was only going to be for like, we were going to be doing after shows for like Gotham and stuff like that. Like we were going to do these online after shows sort of in the way that like Talking Dead does for Walking Dead, right? But we, you know, that's what they were looking for, was a host to kind of host these online after shows. And it has since progressed way beyond that. I mean, that was like, I've been at comicbook.com for like almost 5 years now. So, yeah, that's essentially how it started, and that's how I got the gig. And I've been here ever since.
That's interesting. It's like, yeah. So your comedic business thing, that seems like unconventional, like the way you got into. Like, I feel like the acting thing's more conventional. I think like get the agent kind of thing. That's interesting, man. I never thought of Nashville as much as like a town like that, but it's becoming like more of a everything kind of town. It's not just about country music anymore, I feel like.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's an entertainment mecca, for sure. I mean, there's not as much stuff going on here as say like in Atlanta, but even Atlanta, I feel like now with we're seeing it more and more. I definitely during COVID, like everybody's leaving LA because I think, you know, it costs so much to live there, and you know, all the stuff got shut down, and so everybody was kind of heading out because I think that people are realizing that you can live in other places now, and you know, because of the internet, you don't have to exactly. There was a time when you had to be in New York or you had to be in LA to make it in entertainment, but it's just not the case anymore. And we're seeing little hubs like Atlanta and Nashville and Chicago kind of spring up, where there's a lot of opportunities there for people that want to, you know, act in TV shows or do comedy or whatever.
No, it's very true. I think so. Like even Hunter S. Thompson found a way to live in Kentucky and be entertainment. But I think I think most people had to at some point like live in one of those coasts. And I think it's weird because I feel like the world's finally catching up to the internet almost when people have that downtime. Because I've seen this for like years before it happened, before people even acted on it. And it was weird when I went to Nashville. I saw like record labels. I'm like, holy shit, record labels exist still? It was just like a weird thing, like seeing that. And like Nashville's kind of a cool town. Are you from there originally?
Yeah, around about. I grew up in a small town outside of Nashville, but yeah, I've been in a close circumference to Nashville my whole life.
No, it's a great city. I've only been there a couple times, but I mean, I had fun every time. It's a great city. Like,
yeah, it's a cool city, man. It is a lot of fun. We got a lot of cool stuff here. I mean, there's a lot of cool cities, but I mean, Nashville's definitely got a groove to it.
yeah, and there's everyone there is just much more talented than I am. I feel like when I go to LA, everyone's just got this amazing voice or something, or like, and they all have a recording studio somehow.
Oh, dude, trust me. There are homeless people more talented than me in Nashville.
Yeah.
You can just go by and there's just people on the street playing guitar that I'm just like, oh my God, like how are you? Why are you on the street? You should be selling out something. It's incredible.
Why are you on the street? You should be selling out. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
That's the best sentence ever. I love that. I love that concept. That's funny. That's how LA was too. I'd go to a bar there and
artists.
But that's how I feel LA was too. I'd go to like a bar and like the bartenders have like the most amazing voice of all time. They're like singing to the songs, and I'm like, wow, like how are you a bartender only? It's like it was so weird. I mean, I think like it's just a concentrated area, high competition. I don't know. It's just a weird. I don't fully understand it, but like everyone in those towns are just like more talented. But
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, you know, I learned really, like, I love karaoke, but I don't do karaoke in Nashville. It is serious business in Nashville. Like, people will blow you away.
Well, I feel like if any comedian could sing, they'd be rock stars. Like pretty much, it's the same thing. Like less setup time. We don't have to like carry a drum set in with the drummer or anything. You know, it's like that's about the difference. I mean, you're on stage, same kind of vibe. You know.
Yeah, pretty much. I actually do play music in my comedy show, and I want to get away from it more and more because I just hate bringing a guitar on the road with me when I do shows.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine having to set up stuff
like no thanks, that's okay. I don't want to carry you anymore.
Yeah, you just show up and there's a microphone. You're like, oh, perfect. You have the PA system, great. That's like.
Yeah, it's hit or miss sometimes with places I've played before.
Yeah, bars are bad about it. Bars are like, you didn't bring a PA. I'm like, I didn't bring a what? It's like.
So how long have you been doing your podcast here?
Successfully about a year, about 5 years.
I feel the exact same way when people ask me about my show. I'm like, oh, I've been doing the show for like 3 years, but people have only been watching it for one.
Yeah, about that. Yeah, I know about that. I got lucky and some it's just hard work, consistency. I think like like the comicbook.com thing. It's like you just keep pumping them out, and rather than do it every day, I do it all in one day because I'm lazy. So I'll do like a 7 hour stretch, and I'll just more work comes out. I have to edit still and some other stuff, but I'll do all my interviews in one day for the week.
Nice.
So I don't have to like do everything every day. Like I just kind of like work casually from my phone and like be like, hey Chris, you want to be on a podcast? Or like, hey man, you want to sponsor this? Or you just like it's more casual.
I wish I could get away with that. That'd be nice. I wish I could just take all the news of the week and just record it all and like split it up in 5 or 6 increments and then just trickle it out. That would be great.
Yeah, you actually have graphics instead of like this. I'm stuck on green screen island. So
well, actually, on the show I do here, I just have a calendar that I haven't updated in like 3 months.
Yeah, you look super busy. Like I was
surprising. I actually am. I forget to write on that thing.
No, you use your phone too or something?
Yeah,
me too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like wake up. I'm like, oh man, that's what I gotta do. Okay, cool. Good thing I did that on Sunday.
Right.
That's crazy. So, where do you see this going? Do you see like more movies, more like where do you see like your kind of career and like your kind of whatever you're doing? I know career is kind of just a typecast thing, but like where do you see yourself going? I guess like kind of cheesy question, but cool to know the answer.
Right now, it's just pouring more energy into distraction. I have a fun time doing it, and I think that I really want to be the best online geek show that you can find. I mean, that's kind of the goal. And I any way that I can figure out to make it better and quirkier and just play with it more, that's and just make it bigger. I mean, that's really all I'm interested in at the moment. I mean, other opportunities, if they present themselves, then I'm definitely down. But that's pretty much where I'm at.
Yeah, they'll probably come out of that, just like you getting bigger with the show as it keeps going and stuff. I think they'll probably just come out of that, and that's interesting. Like, because I think you're in a good I mean, you could host Comic Cons. I mean, you can do a lot of stuff with what you're in. I mean, and then just keep growing from that. And then, like, I mean, they're filling arenas from Comic Con. I mean, so and like movies are every movie's a Marvel movie. So it's like, I mean,
I kind of want to, now that I've actually started developing some sort of a following in the last year, I think my goal for like 2022 would be to kind of keep carving that niche out for myself and be like a nerd stand-up comic, and if maybe do shows at Comic-Con and things like that. I think I'd really like to kind of test those waters out when we're allowed to do shows in public again.
Yeah, I remember those days when I was
those were fun. Right?
I remember outside. I'm just joking. I'm in Missouri and like nobody even cares. There's still restaurants open here. I mean, it's probably a lot like Tennessee.
You're in Missouri? What part of Missouri?
I'm in the suburbs of St. Louis. Well, not St. Louis County, but in the suburbs of St. Louis, like the county area, basically.
Nice. I've done shows in St. Louis and in Columbia. Is that Columbia, Missouri?
Yeah. It's about 3 hours from where I'm at. Like if I take 70, about 3 hours.
Yeah, that's it. St. Louis is a cool town too. I like St. Louis. You're not too
Where'd you do shows in Columbia? I've done shows. Or what have you done there?
Oh, well, I forget what the club was called. I don't think it's open anymore.
Was it a music club?
No, it was a comedy club.
They had a comedy club there? Oh yeah. Okay, I know what you're talking about. I remember that.
And there was like a dance. There was like a dance club in the basement of it.
Yeah. Okay, I know what you're talking. Yeah.
They would do comedy on the top floor, and then when the show was over, everybody would like migrate downstairs to this dance club, and I liked it because I stayed drunk. It's always cool when there's a place after the show that you can just hang out with the crowd who just watched your show, because everybody will buy you drinks and stuff.
No, that's a good point. It's a lot of times I'm just like smoking weed in my car an entire time before and entire time after until I get motivated to leave. I was like, a lot of times I remember like, that's a good point. Like crowds you could drink with or like that. Like that's way better probably.
Yeah, it's cool when it's like you're in a situation you can get away from them. But, but I learned never to go out afterwards with like, if an audience member is like, hey, it's like 3 or 4 of us and we're going to go to this bar. Do you want to come with us? And then you go, and it's always super awkward because they just introduce you as like, hey, this is the comedian from tonight. He was funny, and you're stuck with them. That's the worst thing you can do. So you always want to give yourself an exit plan is my point.
Yeah, no, it depends on my mood. Sometimes I want to hang out with people. Sometimes I just want to sit in my car. I'll pull up to the venue like an hour, like before I even have to be there, and just be in the car the whole time. Like I just not even fucking talk.
Especially now, I'm so antisocial now. After this past year, I hate people sometimes. I didn't appreciate how much I like being alone until this year.
Yeah, I don't think you could be in comedy and like people. I don't. I don't see many people deal with it. Like Gallagher must have hated those people. He's always covering them with like
Oh God,
watermelon.
Gallagher, that guy's such a jerk.
He was like the juggalo of comedy. Like he was like ICP does the same shit. Or Guar's always dumping shit on you in the crowd. Like
Yeah, Gallagher. I got stories about Gallagher that I shouldn't probably tell on a podcast.
you know Gallagher.
I know Gallagher.
That's
Yeah,
hilarious alone. That's hilarious.
he's such a jerk off.
Yeah, he seems like he like likes himself a lot.
Yeah, to put it lightly. Yeah.
Yeah. Now I almost have to know the dirt. I feel like now I feel like I have to
Later,
know.
I'll tell you later. I'll tell you later.
Okay, that guy's funny. Like, you ever see Black Gallagher, like Dave Chappelle's like skit?
Oh yeah. He's brilliant. I love that.
Dude, that was so much better than Gallagher. Like, like it was so like Dave Chappelle making fun of Gallagher was better than Gallagher.
Say that again. I'm
I,
sorry.
I said Dave Chappelle playing Gallagher was better. Making fun of Gallagher is better than Gallagher.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. It's not even close.
He's like shooting the watermelon.
And Gallagher's twin. He was awesome too. I like that guy.
Was that his brother? What was the story with that? Like,
Yeah, it was weird. It was like it's funny that his name's Gallagher because they were like the Oasis basically of comedy. Just
That's
two
funny.
brothers get into a fist fight over their material.
that's crazy. Who's some comedians you that you like that you kind of look up to, I guess, or you just kind of like their style, I guess.
Um I've always been a big fan of like I like party comedians. I like Steve Martin in the 70s and Eddie Murphy in the 80s. I was a big fan of Greg Giraldo when he was alive. I like comics like that. I like having a good time when I go watch comedy, and I like it to be like smart and fun, but I like to laugh, you know. And then there are the other comedians that I feel like that get put on a pedestal a lot of times that like let's use George Carlin as an example. Like George Carlin is brilliant. The dude is a wordsmith. Like I love some of his stuff for his message, but he never makes me like just lose my shit laughing. Does that make sense? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. His stuff's kind of dated too. I think he was great for the '90s and stuff, but like we already heard all that stuff, and he basically influenced culture so much it's just common knowledge at this point.
Right, sure. But there are comics. My point being is that there are comics like that that I think they were brilliant, but they just didn't make me like lose myself laughing. And some of the, you know, I like sillier stuff. I like Eddie Murphy. I mean, his stuff is super dated, but it's still just
It works.
kills me when I watch it.
Yeah, it works because he's not doing current events. He's like talking about his family and stuff. Like there's certain things that like they become less.
Definitely has some stuff that hasn't aged well.
Yeah, yeah, fair. Yeah, that's true, man. Like, yeah, I think Bill Hicks was almost a better George Carlin. Like, I think like, I like Bill.
He's another example of somebody that like I liked Bill Hicks. I feel like you can learn a lot from watching Bill Hicks, but he's not somebody that I just ever like just went crazy laughing at. Like, you know what I mean? If
Yeah,
anything, like him and Sam Kinison, they made me more uncomfortable, like screaming at people and stuff.
yeah.
I didn't laugh at it as much as I was like, like you keep yelling. And so no, I like Steve Martin's probably my favorite. I love some of Steve Martin's stuff from the 70s. I think he's just a genius.
No, he was. He was able to fill like arenas with like playing banjo. Also, he's had like two or three careers. Like you know, I mean, he's had like 4 or 5 careers probably actually. That
Yeah.
dude's pretty good. I like him a lot. Yeah, what is that? What kind of got you in? Like you saw these older people do it, or like or just like were you like a class clown kind of dude too, or something? Like what like
Yeah,
you
yeah,
seem
I
like
guess,
that?
yeah, I kind of was. Yeah, uh, I was a little shyer, I think, when I was in school. I mean, I consider myself to be like like maybe an outgoing introvert a little bit. You know what I mean? Like my personality is dialed up to 11 when I'm on stage, and I think people are always surprised when like that's not actually me. Like I'm way more toned down, like when a camera's off. I just, you know, I'm not that outgoing. So I don't think in school I was either. I wasn't necessarily like I mean, I had my moments, you know, that I would do stuff, but I don't think that I was just a class clown all of the time. I have an off button.
Yeah, I don't think people realize that. Like with like I think that killed Keith Moon. I mean, I think Keith Moon was a guy in like like I think the Stones. He's the drummer for the Stones, I think. And he would just always like be like taking like horse tranquilizers and fucking getting drunk all the time to like be like this guy who's always on. Or he was like trying to use drugs to be the guy who's always on. And there's just no such thing. Like, you know, there's just no like real such thing.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. How Keith Richards is still alive, I have no clue.
No, any of those guys, it makes no sense. Like they're like walking. Like I don't know.
Well, I've heard those guys say that the reason that they they're still alive is because of the high quality of the drugs they were doing. They were like, our drugs were like real drugs. Like they weren't mixed with anything else, and that's why we're still alive. So they were just, you know, money was just getting them the good stuff, I guess.
That could be, yeah. They're the better heroin,
right?
Or whatever drugs they do.
They had that clean heroin.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish I would have brought this up to my fifth grade dare officer, and like, I wish I would have had these rebuttals then, you know.
Oh man, I miss dare. There was a fun time.
Yeah, it was weird. I didn't even know what drugs were until like Dare told me about them.
Right? Yeah, I didn't either. I was the same way. Dare is like, you don't want to do marijuana. I was like, what is that?
Yeah, they're like, the Beatles did marijuana. You don't want to do that. I'm like, I love the Beatles. it's like ruin it for you, man. Like.
Right. Yeah, like everybody you look up to does drugs. Don't do drugs.
Yeah, says a cop. Like even it's like the least cool job as a kid. Like a cop. I don't know. To me anyway. I don't know.
Yeah.
We had this officer. His name was Officer Tiny, and he was like 7 foot tall or some shit. It was like an ironic name. I'm supposing. Like, he was like the biggest fucking dude I've ever seen in my life. And his name was Officer Tiny.
It always works out like that. Like Little John and Robin Hood, they're always huge dudes.
Yeah, or like Lucky.
Always, with their ironic names.
Like the name Lucky, I've never seen a lucky person named Lucky. It's always like the saddest dude I've ever seen in my life.
Exactly. Or yeah, just a homeless Irish guy or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if all Irish guys would be homeless, we drank as much as we wanted to, I think.
Dude, yeah, probably.
It's really hard. You look like me if I got a job. Like if I was like employed and took care of myself.
Yeah, there's a part of me that's really like I appreciate your look that you have going on right now. Like sometimes I just fantasize about quitting everything and deleting all my social media, growing my beard out like that, and just becoming a truck driver. That just sounds like the life.
Yeah, you get a lot of spare change. Like everybody just gives you their change all the time. It's pretty cool.
Like, all you have to do is take your hat off and sit down on the sidewalk.
Yeah,
just make a few bucks.
That's what I do some weeks when I don't sell ads. I just go out there and just panhandle, you know, just like old school. Like,
yeah, that's
good
right.
honest money, you know.
Yes.
We're going to take a break for a second. I'm going to tell you about Rebel protein drinks. They're plant-based. They're awesome. They're a part of some good causes, it seems like. Really good ingredients. Turmeric is important in a diet. Go to Rebel, that's REBBL.co, link in the description, and get some plant-based protein drinks while you listen to this episode.
You don't actually think I was in the Zack Snyder's Justice League, do you? Just to clarify, that Robin suit was a joke.
I didn't know that. I thought your scene was cut. That's funny. Okay, I fucking fell for that hard. No, okay, no, I did.
Did you really fall for that?
No, I think I did actually. No, I did. Yeah, that's hilarious.
Oh, I love it.
Dude, you're a genius. That's so funny, dude.
I just posted a picture like literally like 10 minutes before we got on here. The reason that I'm wearing, I don't usually just go bare chested on the podcast or anything, but the reason that I'm wearing this is because yesterday Chris Evans went viral. And he had a shirt on like this and a tank top, and his tattoos are like peeking out. Right. And so I took a screenshot of his picture, and then I put this on, and I took a picture of myself like this, and I just posted it on Instagram, and I was just, my caption is like, I'm super excited to debut my premiere episode of my new podcast, Guys Named Chris with Chest Tattoos. And I have already gotten like at least a dozen messages of people who think that's a real thing.
Dude, that got me too. You're a fucking genius, man. Like that literally, dude, that graphic looked so good. I thought that was real too. I literally saw that.
No, I didn't talk to Chris Evans.
Holy fuck. Dude, no, you're good, man. I barely fall for that shit, and I fell for it twice with you already. That's interesting.
Oh, dude, I almost feel a little bad now.
Who cares? No, I'm stupid for believing shit on the internet, man. It's my own. I can take an L. I don't give a fuck, man. That's good. That's a good joke. If it works on me, I feel like that's good, man. I like
doing what, like, I was just explaining it to somebody. I feel like it's like just playful trolling.
Genius.
It's literally a podcast called to a guy named Chris, or guys named Chris with chest tattoos. Like,
I thought that was the joke, but I thought you still talked to him. Like, I'm gonna show the dude. No, you like. I barely get got. I appreciate a good fucking joke. That's good, man. No, okay. So yeah, this picture right here, like I couldn't even tell this was fucking fake. I'm literally. You even look kind of like you look mischievous now that I think about it. But now that I know this story. But no, okay. So this didn't even have. I knew the podcast wasn't called Guys Named Chris.
I definitely, you know, it was a joke. I don't want to like present it like in this that like that happened. That definitely did not happen. And
Dude, that is
the Robin suit was a buddy of mine who's a big time cosplayer named Mateo. He just let me borrow his Robin suit and I put it on. But it really did take like 30 minutes to put on. That thing's awful.
dude, I can't believe you got me on that. That's fucking hilarious, man. That's literally, dude, I never fall for that shit, I feel like. And that fucking got legitimately. I'm not even fucking gonna bullshit I'm not even gonna bullshit. That legit got me. That's fucking dude, that is so funny, man. That is so, how many people believe this shit? Like if I'm falling for it, like how many fucking people believe this shit?
Oh, this guy, yeah, there was a lot. I mean, it went like kind of mini viral on Twitter. And I think there was a lot of people that believed that I was going to be appearing in Justice League as Robin.
Dude, that is so fucking funny, man. That is so funny, man.
And I try to keep it ambiguous, right? Like that's what the caption was like. I'm not saying that I do, but I'm not saying I don't.
No, that's so funny, man. That's a good fucking joke, man. That's like legit hilarious, dude. Like I'm glad that you like someone out there is like doing shit like that to trick like that legit tricked me and that shit's hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it was just funny. I wasn't actively like trying to like trick anybody, but I think it's an even better joke if it does.
No, that's great. No, I was tricked and I still think it's funny. Like, you mean, like even that legit like played me and I think that's legit hilarious to me. Like I think that's
no, I didn't film anything for Zack Snyder's Justice League.
That is so fucking that looks so convincing, bro. That was like legit convincing as fuck, man.
Thanks, man. Thanks. No, what we were actually doing was we were doing a sketch for comicbook.com and so we aired that I think the day before maybe the Justice League came out and that's it's on our Instagram and TikTok and stuff, but it was just a fun sketch we made.
Dude, that makes the podcast like even better. Like when I realized that as the view, like I mean that's fucking hilarious, man. Like I'm glad, like I'm legit like impressed that worked even like on me. Like most of the time I'm like one of those people I was like, oh, that's fake, that's fake. I just usually fucking tell. It's hilarious, man. I need to chill on the edibles, I guess. Like
I'm very flattered that anybody thinks that I could actually like pull off Robin. I mean that's to me that just seems insane that anyone would see me and be like, oh yeah, he could be Robin. Like, so I'm very flattered that anybody believes it.
Well, I was just thinking from a business standpoint how smart it is to get comedians in movies and stuff because they have fan bases, they in like different states and cities and stuff. Like, if I was making movies like that, I would grab comedians too, man. I mean, like anyone with a fan base, and the comedians can act too. I mean, they're used to talking and like, I mean, like so. I feel like comedy is almost a natural transition to acting.
Oh yeah, I think so too. I think
that's why it didn't throw me off.
I think a lot of comedians prove that. I mean, most comedians that become big enough to get into acting, I mean, they don't take acting classes or anything like that. A lot of them, you know, Steve Martin and Eddie Murphy being, you know, two prime examples of guys that, you know, went straight from stand-up to acting. They didn't have classes. They just were kind of naturals at it.
Dude, yeah. My favorite Steve Martin joke is like he's like bragging about being in the phone book. That was like fucking hilarious. Like he's like, look, I'm in the phone book. I made it. It was in some movie. I forgot.
Was that from The Jerk?
Dude, that's what it was. The Jerk. Yeah, dude.
I love that movie, man. The Jerk is one of the all-time classics.
Dude, yeah. I think you gained my respect 10,000 more points for that tricking thing. I can't get over that now. I'm literally like that. Like literally that gained so much respect for me. And I already thought you were cool and stuff, but that like literally like gave me so much more respect for you. I have no idea why, but like I appreciate a good joke, man. That's fucking genius.
Oh man, no, I appreciate it. Thank you very much, man. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I mean, that's all I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to, you know, just distract people. I'm just trying to, you know, kill some time and give, you know, make people smile, whatever. That's why we do this, right?
Dude, no, that was great, man. That's so funny, man. Like, have you pulled shit like that before? Like, I find it hard to believe that, like just those two were the only time you like. Is there any other time you pulled some shit like that? That shit's hilarious.
Yeah, probably. I'm sure I have. I think it's probably becoming like as I've started developing a following. I think it's becoming a little more palpable now.
Yeah, so, it's easier to prank people when you got a following. Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, I think so. But I was amazed that like I'm sorry that my phone keeps going off because I don't know how to turn it off on my computer and turn the volume down.
I think it's funny to have it in podcasts. I'm not too worried about it. I think it's funny. Like people are just listening to it.
I'm not trying to be unprofessional, but no. Yeah, like I said, when I posted that Chris Evans thing, I literally just posted it like 15, 20 minutes before I came on here, and I was already getting messages like, "So cool that you met Chris Evans," and I'm like, "Oh God, people are already like buying it."
Dude, yeah, I know that. No, that's great though. That's fucking hilarious. Dude. I believed it, man. It looked fucking real. Like even when I put up on the screen, it looked fucking real, dude. That's just hilarious.
Yeah, no, he appeared on he was on a podcast yesterday, and like the whole internet's been freaking out about how you can see his chest tattoos, and so I just thought it was funny, that just to play along with it. But I would assume that if you'd seen that story, you would see that he's wearing the same thing, and that I just thought it would be a little more obvious that I was kidding, but whatever. If it's not, I don't care.
No, it's great, dude. That's fucking great, dude. That's like legendary, man. Like I'm a big Andy Kaufman fan. That's probably like my favorite comedian. I think he constantly fucked with people.
God, I love Andy Kaufman. Can't what Andy Kaufman did with wrestling back in the early '80s is the
Dude, yeah.
coolest thing I've ever seen.
100% intergender women's wrestling champion in the world. I almost bought that shirt. Like I almost like made that shirt myself, just like in tribute. That's just a fucking cool ass idea.
Oh, it was brilliant. It was 30 years ahead of its time too.
Oh, definitely. I've seen so many people rip that off. The concept of like explaining to the South what a toothbrush is and like toilet paper. He's like this is toilet paper. He just describes it to like he just like talked down to everybody and pissed on. He had an entire arena mad at him, man. That shit was hilarious.
The amount of balls that it takes to go on David Letterman and like follow through with that storyline until
With
like,
the King, yeah.
like let Jerry Lawler slap him out of his chair and then to just
Yeah.
to know that they worked that thing together the whole time. It was just brilliant. It was fantastic.
Dude, yeah, people didn't know that for decades. Like Jerry the King kept that as a secret for like decades, and like came out with it like somewhat recently. I believe. I don't know the time frame, but he came out with that somewhat recently. Like Letterman didn't even know it was a shtick. Like he was like literally just like I believe so anyway. I believe that was the story.
Yeah. I don't think Letterman was in on it.
Yeah, I don't think he was. That was crazy, and that's I mean wrestling. I mean I loved wrestling as a kid, so that's just fucking hilarious to me. Like the concept of like just doing that, man. Like feeling like he gave up. He's like, I quit comedy and all and acting and all this stuff. I'm gonna be a wrestler now. He just like played that whole thing up, man. It was hilarious.
Yeah, it was amazing. And Andy Kaufman was the king of it, dude. I mean, he was almost like less a comedian and more. I mean, he almost had like some magician tactics to his comedy, right? Where it was like he would like follow through with the illusion so much he would just dedicate himself to tricking people. It was brilliant. I mean, he was way ahead of his time.
Dude, yeah, he wouldn't even he would never break character either. Like I've seen him. He was like panhandling on Letterman one time. He got like fired from like SNL or something, and he's like, yeah, my wife left me, my kids left me. They took the house. He's like walking around like the audience, like panhandling for change, and like he's just so good, man. And like I don't think like he didn't even call himself a comedian. I don't think. I think it's just something he fell into. Like I think like
he had a name for what
song and dance man. He called himself a song and dance man in the beginning.
Is that what it was?
In the beginning, yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember specifically. I know he didn't call himself. He didn't consider himself a comedian. Yeah, I'm actually friends with Dutch Mantel, who was in Memphis wrestling at the time when all that was going on. He told me some great Andy Kaufman stories. And yeah, Andy Kaufman would follow through with it behind the scenes as well. I mean, he was always in character.
Yeah, I saw like a glimpse one time, like just a glimpse of him faking it, because he was on Letterman like after that panhandling thing I was telling you about on YouTube, and I was watching it, and you saw the backstage door open a little bit and then close, and then he was just back there like smiling and like gleaming about it, like you could tell like it was just I don't think he meant to be on camera at that time, and it was like the only time I've seen him like break character like on camera.
Right, for sure.
It's so weird, man.
He's awesome.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite comedian of all time. Like I don't know why. Like just if he was even a comedian, I don't know what the fuck he was just like a troll or something.
Yeah, that's pretty much what he was. He was just like a professional troll before trolling was a thing.
Dude, yeah, Tom Green was kind of like that too.
Yeah, Tom Green had some good stuff. I mean, Tom Green in the late '90s when he was on MTV was pretty brilliant.
Yeah. No, he's like living in a van now. You've seen his YouTube lately?
Yeah, I listened to he was on a podcast. I think it was with Joe Rogan, and and yeah, and he's just basically like living out in wilderness now, like trying to do a podcast and stuff. He's funny, man. I like that dude.
No, he's awesome. Like Tom Green's probably one of the good ones that's alive still. He's like one of the good ones, I think.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
That shit's funny. I don't know if I could handle these people in like real life though. I feel like they just like fuck with people too. Like I probably couldn't handle Tom Green like in his prime anyway. The guy was just so batshit, man. Like he was just fucking like, but in a good way.
Oh yeah, he drove his parents crazy.
Dude, that was always funny, dude. Yeah. And then you hear him talk about them. In the beginning, he fucked with him all the time, and by the end, like he just his dad just like gets up and shakes Monica once he's saying like, "Nice to meet you, Monica," and like goes back to sleep.
Yeah.
Like by the
Between Tom Green and like the Jackass guys, like
Dude, yeah.
I've always felt so bad for their parents. I was like, man, that must suck to just be pranked like 24/7 by your own kids.
No, that would be crazy. I wonder what it was like before they got MTV shows. If like their parents were just assholes before to them. Like, why don't you get a job, grow up? And then they get like an MTV show and they're just like, fuck you.
I always think their parents have to be like really cool to like take those pranks and to not like flip out on them.
That's true. That's true. Bam's parents more so, I think. Like, and the older Bam gets, the more he looks like his dad. Like it's just like funny as shit. Like seeing him like where he's going.
Yeah, I don't know if I would describe it as funny or sad, but it's definitely one of those things.
It'd be sad if it was me, but it's funny when it's other people.
Yeah. I think I just saw that he got kicked off the Jackass movie. They're making another movie, and I think he got kicked off of it. And they're
Drinking too much or something.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that's I only know the little bit that I've read on TMZ. I don't have any like inside info or anything. It's just, but that's too bad. I hate to hear when people are not like, kind of beating their demons.
Yeah, I felt like he had his shit most together. That's weird to hear from him. I feel like if like you said that about Steve-O or Johnny Knoxville, I'd be like, oh, okay. Like, I mean, I just feel like, yeah, but Bam almost like he seemed like he had it together more. I guess after Dunn died, he kind of lost his shit. Like,
yeah. I also don't know if we even need like any more Jackass, because there's definitely a point where I feel like it's cool seeing like young guys like kick each other in the balls and stuff. But when you get to when these guys are hitting like their 50s and still pulling those sorts of pranks on each other, it just makes, there's a little part of me that gets sad. You know what I mean? It was like seeing like the Uber Eats commercial with Wayne and Garth. Like, yeah,
that was sad.
That made me sad because I was like, you're telling me that in the last 30 years, these guys still live in a basement and do like, they haven't grown as people at all. Like it's a little sad for me. So sometimes I think that some of these relics of the past, we should just maybe keep them back there.
Yeah. It's like if Jesus would have got old.
Yeah, no, yeah.
He like died in his prime with like a 6-pack and shit. And I mean, it's like he died a beautiful man,
As far as we know, we don't really know what he looks like.
We have no fucking clue. No, I was just saying the story.
He might not be a beautiful man. We don't know.
I don't think he really was, but for the sake of like that joke, he was.
Fair.
Yeah, but you're probably right. You're probably more accurate. Yeah, no, I don't think he probably was. So I don't think. I don't know though, but I would lean towards more what you said in reality. But no, I was just fucking around. Like, that Uber Eats commercial was super sad. They're like they were like wearing, it was like they're just like wearing makeup or something. I'm like, it was just fucking weird. Everyone wears makeup, but it's like transparent though, and like what I mean on TV, I guess it was like weird.
Yeah, well, like I said, it's more just the idea that these guys, it's no different than when I see like when I would go do road comedy and I would meet comics who were like popular in the 80s, but they, now in like 2012 or something, they're still like rocking a mullet and their entrance music to come on stage is like, I don't know, Welcome to the Jungle or something. And just guys, it's just sad to see people get stuck in the time that they thought was cool.
Yeah, like Wayne and Garth on the Uber Eats commercial looked like trans athletes.
Yeah, it was. Well, I'm not gonna touch that one, but yeah.
Smart man. That's funny. No, but I know what you're talking about. But like Andrew Dice Clay's like that. Like he still dresses the same, and like I think he deleted me on Instagram and called me a fag or something. Yeah, I think it's what. I'm like, that's very 80s of you, bro.
That sounds like an Andrew Dice Clay thing to do.
Yeah, I think he just like he seems super internet aggressive, but it was just weird. Yeah, he didn't age too well. I don't think either. He's still wearing the jacket.
Yeah, no, that's all. That's what you don't want to see. Like, don't get me wrong. I would love to see another like a Wayne's World 3. I think that would be fantastic. But I want to see the Wayne's World 3 where and who knows, maybe somebody can send this to Michael Myers and pitch it. But I want to see the Wayne's World 3 where those guys actually like cleaned up their life and they got a haircut and they become like successful businessmen and everything. And then they realize like 30 years later how much they hate their lives. And so they're like, screw it, we're going to go back to doing a show in our basement. And those guys trying to like maybe recapture, a little bit of that. Like I'm interested in that story, but to see these guys, and granted, I'm throwing a lot of weight into an Uber Eats commercial, but
your movie idea, you have me on board with the movie idea. I feel like I'd watch that movie if it was even made. Like I feel like that was like.
If you want to see the evolution of where the characters, where
no, you're right.
It's a mistake. I think we're seeing that it's a mistake with like Dumb and Dumber 2 or Bill and Ted 3. When these guys, 30 years later are the same exact characters they were. Like that's just not how most people are. You grow and life happens. You get married, you have kids, you do whatever, and I think that I'm more interested in seeing like how do they change and how do they get back to being the Wayne and Garth of old.
No, that's the basic story to like the storyline in film and books and stuff. I mean that's definitely smart. No, I think that'd be better. I think honestly, if they hear this, they'll probably just take that idea. But I feel like Mike Myers has so much like "fuck you" money from Shrek. I don't think I just think
that and Austin Powers. I mean,
yeah,
for sure.
He doesn't give a fuck. I feel like almost like one of his buddies asked him to do the Uber Eats commercial or something. Like I don't think he even needs the money. Like Danny Carvey probably too. I mean, Danny Carvey was doing so many movies and shit.
Yeah. Which I love those guys. I mean, I love Wayne's World 1 and 2, and I would love to see a third one. I was almost actually a little pissed off that I was like, really, Bill and Ted gets a third movie, but Wayne's World can't. They get relegated to Uber Eats. That doesn't seem right.
Yeah, I watched that movie like every day as a kid before school. I loved Wayne's World so much when I was like old like elementary school maybe or something. Whenever.
Oh yeah, Wayne's World is fantastic. I'm a big fan.
No, it's a great movie. Steven Tyler was in it. Aerosmith was badass. I mean, it was a fucking great movie, just all the way together,
Right.
I don't know, man. Like, I think did you hear Chris Farley was supposed to play Shrek like originally?
Yeah, I knew that. I had heard that he was supposed to play Shrek initially, but he died while they'd only got like half of his lines.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I did a show a few years ago with David Spade and Chris Farley's little brother, or maybe his big brother. I think his brother's Kevin Farley, I think is his name.
Yeah.
But I knew Chris Farley had a brother, but his brother looks ridiculously like Chris now. Like he looks just like Chris. And so I remember walking into the green room and seeing David Spade and then seeing Chris Farley's brother who looks just like Chris Farley. And it was surreal, dude. I was like, oh my God, I feel like I'm in the green room with David Spade and Chris Farley. It was the coolest thing ever.
That's crazy, man. I wish Chris Farley could have played like Rob Ford or Donald Trump. Like that would have kicked ass. Like was he was always doing characters like political characters and stuff. Like if he played Donald Trump in a movie, that would have been the best fucking movie of all time.
Or even just Donald Trump on Saturday Night Live, it would have been fantastic.
Fair, yeah. He did a good Newt Gingrich and like Bill Clinton and stuff. Like he did some shit like that, I think, back in the day. But like, that would have been interesting. Like, and I think Farley came from a funny family. It seemed like they seemed like they were all kind of the same guy. Like he was just imitating his dad or something. It's like what it seemed like.
It seemed to me like he was more imitating like Belushi. Like he was he was like obsessed with John Belushi.
Yeah, he died the same way, even the same age. That's crazy.
Yeah, same age, same drug. It was really kind of bizarre.
Yeah, it turns out if you only eat butter and you're doing coke and heroin at the same time, not healthy.
Like who knew, right?
Yeah,
must have not been that clean heroin.
Yeah, yes, hit up Keith Richards about that. Yeah, but I feel like if Chris Farley wouldn't have done it, we wouldn't have known. We wouldn't have known butter, cocaine, and heroin doesn't mix well.
Well, it's so crazy. Like he was I think he was only like 33 when he died, and like so in hindsight, it's so young. I mean, it's kind of crazy to think that he was only in his early 30s before he was gone. I would have loved to have seen what that guy would have done for another 20 years.
Oh, no doubt. Like he would have been like Adam Sandler, probably to keep working. He probably would have been a guy working a lot. I think like a Sandler, like or something.
I'm sure. Yeah, definitely.
How old are you?
I am 64.
64. You age terribly. You look a lot older.
No, I'm looking pretty rough. I know. I'm up there. Always. No, you should. I think it's so funny whenever people say that they're going to stop. Like I'm 25. I'm stopping now. I was like, you can't stop at 25. I was like, in another 15 years, you're going to look busted. Like you gotta lie up. I always lie up. You don't lie down.
That's hilarious. It's like everybody's like IMDb says they're all 6 foot tall, and then you meet them in real life, they're all like 5'3" or some shit. It's fucking weird.
Right. Yeah. Tom Cruise, right? He's like 5'1" or something.
Yeah, before the phone books or whatever. That guy sucks at acting. I don't know why everybody's obsessed with him. I don't like that guy.
I don't know.
Not
I don't know about sucks at acting. That's probably a bit of a stretch. I
in the
mean,
last 20, 40, 30 years, maybe. But I think he killed it back in the day.
the problem with Tom Cruise is that Tom Cruise is so famous. I think you reach a point where you're so famous that it's hard to separate Tom Cruise from the character. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but his
Like,
character's just been bad though. I feel like okay, like some of the shit was good. Like Top Gun was good. I mean, you had a bunch of 80s shit was good. I mean, and then like I feel like Mission Impossible 15 or whatever. It's like, come on, man. Like, are you like?
well, that's what I'm saying. I think
Yeah.
that there came a certain point where he just became too famous, and then he became
Okay.
like Tom Cruise, and you just can't separate that fact anymore. It's like in the
Yeah.
'80s he was doing good work, but there was a point where he became A-list Tom Cruise. To Tom Cruise is the guy who's jumping on the couch, excited Scientologist sort of weirdo guy, and
Okay.
it's hard to like not see that once you know so much about him.
That's interesting. Okay. No, I could see you have a very like balanced way of perceiving things, and I think that's a good perception. I think I definitely see that. Like, you got too successful, kind of isolated from people, probably that doesn't like hang out with people that much. I don't know, maybe hangs out with people, but not like everyday people more so.
Yeah, no, definitely not everyday people.
Yeah, like if you're a Scientologist, you probably that boat fucking shipped along, sailed a long fucking time ago, probably.
Yeah, I don't even know anything about it except it's not real. That's all I know.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's like Mormonism. It's like Mormonism for people with more imagination.
Oh man, I need more coffee.
I think we've reached our hour. Maybe we talked for like ever, but I appreciate it, man. Throw out any promo you want before we get on or something like that, or like Instagram,
Oh yeah,
whatever.
no, definitely. Just I mean, if you're on Instagram, you can hit me up at CK Comedy. And if you like being tricked by my posts, or if you're on Twitter, you can find me at Chris Killian, and my last name spelled like the beer. Yeah, that's about it, man. My daily show's on Comic Book, and you can find that on all of our social media channels. And would love for you to come check out the show.
This podcast is possible because of sponsors like Arthur Wayne Hot Sauce. Go to arthurwaynehotsauce.com, link in the description, and get some awesome flavors they have. They also make custom flavors. They can send these to restaurants or individuals off their website. And like I said, they have custom flavors like for weddings or birthday parties or whatever you're still allowed to have.